Chapter 40 to 42. Is that so? Shin mused. It seems that the matter is indeed serious, but I must discuss this with Goten. I can't make the decision on his behalf. Shin knew he couldn't dictate Goten's actions. If he made a decision without Goten's consent, it could lead to unnecessary complications. Moreover, it would be disrespectful to Goten. Goten, you heard what the Daikyo said just now. Shin turned to Goten. Perhaps you are the only one who can deal with Janemba. What do you think? If Shin had his way, he would naturally want Goten to confront Janemba. This could potentially prevent loss of life. After all, if creatures from the other world were to enter the world of the living, it would undoubtedly cause widespread panic and chaos. Sorry, I can't help you with this matter, Goten replied in a flat tone. The world of the living and the world of the dead are two completely different realms, and we should respect the laws of the other world and let nature take its course. This is what my father and others preached before. The earth was in grave danger at that time, but they chose not to resurrect themselves to protect the earth. They believed in allowing the situation to develop naturally. There is no need for the deceased to continue being resurrected, nor for the living to interfere with the affairs of the other world. Of course, this is my personal opinion. If you wish to help, that's your prerogative. After all, you are gods, and these matters fall under your jurisdiction. Although he did not mind fighting Janemba, maybe he could even pick up Janemba's various abilities by fighting him. But, as before, Goku and other had said that they should let nature take its course, and the deceased should not interfere in the matter of the living. Then, according to that, people from the living realm naturally didn't need to go to the other world to solve the crisis for them. He felt some grudge about what happened a few years ago. The Earth a few years ago was in a very dangerous situation. Once Cell returned to Earth, it would have been the end of it. At that time, he would have been killed by Cell. Fortunately, Cell had not appeared on the planet for 8 years. But Goten was not pleased. Of course, Chi-Chi and Bulma felt the same. They still couldn't understand the thoughts of Goku and Vegeta at that time. Obviously, they could have used the Dragon Balls to resurrect and protect the Earth, but they still decided to let the situation develop naturally. Goten's refusal took Shin by surprise. He hadn't expected Goten to decline so straightforwardly. With the combined strength of him and Kibito, they were unlikely to resolve the problem in the other world. Daikyo, Goten can assist you with this matter, Supreme Kai replied awkwardly. So, you guys should first find a way to handle Janemba, and I will also think of a solution here. Despite being a distinguished Supreme Kai, his strength was limited, and some things were simply beyond his control. Alright, Kaishin Salma, the Grand Kai responded, ending the call. It seemed that if they wanted to get rid of Janemba, they would still have to rely on Goku and others. After the communication ended, Shin immediately began to use the magic crystal ball to observe the events unfolding in the other world. Meanwhile, in the hell of the other world, the sky was filled with giant colorful candies. The figures of Goku and Vegeta soon appeared in sight. They were covered with wounds. After several days of relentless combat, not only had Janemba not exhausted any of his physical energy, but they had also fallen into a very passive situation. It seemed that Janemba didn't want to eliminate them, perhaps because he was enjoying the fight. That's why they hadn't been killed. Goku, Goten has denied my request, the voice of the Grand Kai echoed in Goku's mind. He just said that people from the living realm should not interfere in the affairs of the other world, and should let the people in the other world solve it by themselves and let nature take its course. I'm really sorry, we can't help at all. Now we can only rely on you to deal with Janemba. Goku and Vegeta frowned upon hearing this. They were well aware of Goten's strength. With his help, they might have been able to eliminate Janemba. But unexpectedly, Goten had refused. Can Goten resist fighting such a powerful opponent? Goku wondered aloud. After all, Scions were naturally warlike. Goten, having Scion blood, naturally possessed a battle-hungry nature. It was surprising that he showed no interest in such a powerful opponent. Idiot Kakarot, Vegeta grumbled. Can't you hear that Kid Goten's words are very familiar? That's what we said to Bulma and the others 8 years ago. That little brat is obviously gloomy over our refusal to be resurrected. Darned brat. He understood it because he was too clear about the sentence that the Grand Kai relayed just now. This was what they said to Bulma and Chi-Chi 8 years ago when they were about to revive them with the Dragon Balls. He didn't expect Goten, that brat, to hold grudges like this. Ah, did we ever say that? I forgot. Goku scratched the back of his head, apparently not remembering saying something like that 8 years ago. It does appear to be so. Piccolo nodded. Goten and Gohan have completely different personalities. Now it seems that Janemba can only be dealt with by ourselves, although Goten was also very kind in nature. But his kindness was completely different from Gohan's. Clearly, Goten was an individual who held grudges. Since this is the case, there is only one way. Goku's expression became serious in an instant. Create a combined warrior by using the fusion technique of the Metamorans. with the strength of a few of us alone. Even if we join forces, we will definitely not be able to defeat Janemba. But through the fusion technique of the Metamorans, a super warrior can be created. At that time, Janemba can definitely be easily defeated. And me and Vegeta are the most suitable candidates for fusion.
What?
Fusion. Vegeta's face suddenly changed, showing a repulsive look. It was absolutely impossible for the majestic Scion Prince, the proud warrior, to agree to such a thing as fusion. Vegeta, the fusion between the two of us works best, Goku said to Vegeta very seriously. Because we know each other very well. Your understanding of me completely surpasses Gohan's. So Vegeta, you are the best candidate for fusion. All eyes were on Vegeta, awaiting his response. If Vegeta agreed to fuse with Goku, they might stand a chance against Janemba. As it stood, even the combined strength of 5 warriors was not enough to challenge Janemba. Vegeta gritted his teeth in frustration. The idea of fusing with Goku was something he would never tolerate. Stop spouting such nonsense, Kakarot, Vegeta retorted with a vicious tone. If fusing with you is the only way to defeat Janemba, then I'd rather die. He was very proud, and after being humiliated and constantly getting surpassed by the Sun family members, his pride was hurt badly. If he had to fuse with Goku to defeat this opponent, then he would rather be killed by Janemba. Vegeta, don't say that. Seeing Vegeta's anger, Goku softened his tone. If you don't want to, then forget it. Goku knew that fusion required the willingness of both parties. If Vegeta was against it, there was no way they could proceed. Snort. Vegeta turned around arrogantly, crossing his hands on his chest. At this point, Gohan stepped forward. Father, let's fuse, he suggested seriously. Although the effect may not be as good as the fusion between you and Vegeta, it should be enough to defeat Janemba. Gohan believed that as long as the immediate crisis could be resolved and everyone could be safe, fusion was just a trivial matter. Moreover, he recognized that his current power rivaled that of Vegeta's, indicating that even after fusion, the resulting warrior shouldn't be lacking in strength. Considering fusion, the inherent similarities between Gohan and Goku were not particularly contradictory. It is our only option then. Goku nodded in agreement. Although Vegeta was the best candidate for fusion, Gohan was also very strong. After fusion, their combined strength would definitely increase significantly. Before, they had seen the fusion technique of the Metamorans at the previous Otherworld martial arts tournament. The two people after the fusion technique became much stronger than before. Therefore, after he and Gohan used the fusion technique, it should be more than enough to deal with Janemba. Rumble. Just as they made up their minds, a violent explosion sounded, and Janemba's body appeared in front of everyone again. This time, Janemba was no longer the chubby and naive creature they had initially encountered. Instead, he had transformed into a formidable figure, his body covered with red skin and a layer of light purple armor. A devilish smile played on his lips. Goku, you and Gohan, hurry up and perform fusion, Piccolo urged, clenching his fist. Leave this guy to us temporarily, and we will try our best to help you delay time. Although he knew very well that he was no match for Janemba, there was no other way. They could only try to buy Goku and Gohan as much time as possible for fusion. Alright, I'm counting on you guys. Goku addressed the trio before swiftly grabbing Gohan with one hand, positioning his other hand with its index and middle fingers between his eyebrows. In an instant, their bodies vanished. After Janemba saw the bodies of Goku and Gohan disappear, he let out a sharp cry. With a swift motion, Piccolo and Vegeta emerged and launched their assault on Janemba. Damn bastard. Even without fusion's tricks, Vegeta can beat you. Ha! Vegeta's voice echoed with determination as he transformed into a Super Saiyan and rushed towards Janemba. Piccolo and Piccin burst out at the same time and joined the battle. But the strength of the three of them was too weak compared to Janemba. In a blink of an eye, they were sent hurtling through the air by the unstoppable force of Janemba. After Goku used instant transmission, he managed to transport himself and Gohan to King Yenma. Gohan, get ready for fusion next, Goku instructed seriously. You've seen the fusion moves before, we only have one chance. Because after a fusion failure, we have to wait for half an hour, and this half hour is enough for Janemba to kill us. They only had one chance. If fusion technique failed, then they would definitely be completely killed by Janemba. Gohan nodded seriously, and the two began the fusion dance. Fusion. Ha! Their voices harmonized perfectly. A white light enveloped their bodies, and when it disappeared, Goku and Gohan were gone. In their place stood a large, fat man dressed in Metamoran garb. Clearly, their fusion had failed. After all, they had never trained in the fusion technique before. Moreover, it was not so easy to keep all movements and ki level completely consistent with each other. And with the situation at hand, they were unable to calm down at all. It was easy to make mistakes. It's over. The fusion of the two of them failed. The Grand Kai and the other 4 King Kais panicked. Fusion was their only hope. Now that Goku and Gohan's fusion had failed, they would have to wait for another half an hour. But the battle had already begun again, and Janemba seemed to lose interest in the boring battle and began to deal with it seriously. In this situation, half an hour was enough for Janemba to kill everyone. After fusion, Goken didn't seem to realize how they had failed. Instead, with a flash of his body, he rushed into the battlefield. Everyone was shocked and fell into deep thought. Was this large, fat man the product of fusion? Why did he seem so unreliable? Damn. What the hell is this? Vegeta exclaimed, relieved that he hadn't fused with Goku. Looks like something went wrong with fusion. It's over. Piccolo and Piccin also turned pale. After fusion, Goken was full of confidence. Pointing at Janemba's nose, he provocatively said, Hey, get ready to die. Goken-sama will send you to hell. It seemed that the products of fusion's failure would become overly arrogant. Piccolo and Vegeta subconsciously covered their faces. This chubby fat man looked so embarrassing, it was too shameful to watch him. In the God realm, Shin was left dumbfounded. 2 individuals, each with a perfect physique, had transformed into a rotund figure following their fusion. It was clear that their fusion technique had failed. With their current form, defeating Janemba seemed impossible. But he couldn't really think of a good way to deal with Janemba. Kaishin-sama, I have imposed on you for quite some time. I believe it is time for me to depart, Goten declared. The other world is in chaos, and it's inevitable that Earth will be affected as well. I need to return to Earth to assess the situation. Goten hadn't paid much attention to the events unfolding in the other world. After all, they didn't concern him. Goku and Vegeta were already dead. Regardless of their current state, they couldn't possibly die again. Or could they? An interesting situation. However, ignoring them, those who remained alive on Earth depended on his protection. He couldn't allow any harm to come to his mother or Bulma. Very well, the Shin responded. Let Kibito escort you back. It might be quicker that way. At this point, Shin could only agree. Although he had hoped that Goten would assist in resolving the otherworld crisis, it was evident that Goten was reluctant to help. They would have to find another solution. Moreover, Earth was currently facing numerous riots and crises. Goten's protection was needed more than ever. No need. I'll return by myself, Goten replied, shaking his head. He had already mastered Kibito's Kai technique. As soon as he finished speaking, his body swayed slightly before he vanished from the God realm. What? He used Kai? How did Goten learn that? Kibito was taken aback. If Goten knew that technique, why had he been trapped in the universe initially? Goten is full of surprises. Shin mused, equally puzzled. Meanwhile, on Earth, whoosh. Goten's body materialized in midair. The planet was in complete chaos. Those who had been dead for a long time were resurrected, and the otherworld and the living world were now interconnected. The streets, once bustling with traffic, were now overrun with countless troops and tanks. Return to hell, Goten commanded, directing an energy wave at the formidable army and tanks below. Rumble. The ground troops and tanks were instantly engulfed by the energy wave and vanished without a trace. Oh ho 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 ho. Suddenly, a familiar, smug laughter echoed through the air. It was none other than the Universe Emperor, Frieza. Goten looked up and spotted Frieza and his Ginyu Force. Frieza? This should be interesting, Goten remarked, a small smile playing on his lips. In a flash, he appeared before Frieza. The sight of Goten caused Frieza's smile to freeze. Goku? No, it's not Goku. Is it Goku-san? Frieza wondered aloud. The boy standing before him bore an uncanny resemblance to Goku. Even if Goku were reduced to ashes, Frieza would recognize him. But this boy was too young, so he could not be Goku. He must be Goku-san. Killing Goku's son would fulfill one of his deepest desires. It's been a while, Frieza, Goten greeted, smiling at the surprised Frieza. Despite Frieza being a villain, Goten didn't harbor any real hatred towards him. Frieza's actions were the epitome of a true villain, never pretending to be a gentleman like Frost from Universe 6. Yet, he was quite the gentleman towards his subordinates, always addressing them with respect by adding "sand" at the end of their names. Frieza was indeed a unique villain. You're Goku-san, aren't you? It's an honor to be recognized by you, Frieza responded, placing his right hand over his chest and bowing at a 90-degree angle. However, when he raised his head, his eyes were filled with intense hostility. As much as I hate to admit it, I am indeed Goku's son, Goten replied, still smiling. Whoosh. Suddenly, a clear piercing sound rang out, followed by a familiar voice. Goten. It was Krillin. In the next instant, Krillin appeared beside Goten. You're finally back, Goten. I can sense that you've undergone a significant transformation. Your strength must have improved considerably. Krillin observed, looking at Goten with surprise. He could sense something different about Goten, something he hadn't felt before. It seemed that Goten's strength had increased significantly. You're not doing too badly yourself, Krillin-san. It seems that Bulma-san has upgraded you again, Goten responded, glancing at the robust Krillin beside him and smiling. Although he couldn't sense Krillin's aura, he knew that Krillin must have undergone another upgrade. His current strength was definitely much stronger than it had been 2 or 3 months ago. Well, the original transformation wasn't completed. It was just a device loaded with infinite energy. But now, I've become a full-fledged android. This time, Bulma has completely transformed me, Krillin explained, not hiding anything. The last time he fought with Cell, he realized that a simple transformation couldn't make him stronger. He couldn't be of any help to Goten. So, after defeating Cell, he underwent a 2-month transformation. His strength had indeed improved significantly. Bulma had gained a lot of ideas and inspiration from Dr. Gero when she repaired Android 16, which greatly improved her skills in this area. Even so, he knew there was still a significant gap between him and Goten. But at least when facing less powerful opponents, he wouldn't have to bother Goten. Looking at the completely transformed Krillin, Goten felt a pang of sadness. No one would willingly endure the pain of being skinned and boned to be transformed into an android and losing their humanity. But sometimes, circumstances force them to make such choices and sacrifices. What? Aren't you that little baldy that I saw on Namek? Hee. It appears that you have come back to life. Frieza exclaimed. The moment he saw Krillin, his gaze burst out with intense, killing intent. He believed that Krillin was the root cause of all his humiliation. If it hadn't been for Krillin, Goku wouldn't have become a Super Saiyan. He wouldn't have been beaten by Goku for so long. He wouldn't have been chopped into pieces by that Saiyan brat on Earth. All the pain he had endured was because of Krillin. Now that he had seen Krillin again, he could finally crush him underfoot, venting the inhuman torture he had endured in hell for so many years. This time, absolutely no one could save him.